talking about history today, I'd rather talk about the evolution of media and how much it changed, how we have become activists, influencers, content creators in media today. So this shift that has happened because of the technological advancement has really made a progress in giving voices for people that did not have voices before. So we're shifting from the traditional media. I mean, look at us now. The way we are digesting news, the way we're receiving information, the way we are formulating communities has shifted. And eventually it has shifted how we create what we call a critical mass, meaning that where we are able to create influencers and activists and lobbyists and advocates to be able to actually change that public discourse. Now, talking about the public discourse or the public dialogue. We notice now that the current scene of media has been fluctuating between a positive and negative, which is something that Shady here mentioned, talking about technology, which is it's either we use it for good, or either we use it for evil. And this is something that has been happening with humankind since ever. But with working on legislations, this is number one, because I'll take less than a minute to talk about how important legislation is. Legislation actually, it's not that it just takes the law. The legislation, it changes the ethical system of a society. So it makes people realize in a different way the difference between what is ethical and what is not. There are so many topics that we can touch upon. But now we're focusing on media. So we're looking at, coming from my own expertise or my own area, I will be looking at how legislators are dealing with media and the legislation of media. So, for example, we see that despite that there has been a democratization of communication after the inception of social media, and it has brought some value because it created more highways of sharing information between people. But at the same time, we have seen the amount of polarization. We've seen the amount of conflicts that have really moved from the cybersphere or the public sphere and the cybersphere into the real world. And this is what has been happening all over the world. You mentioned that we create our perception, or media creates our reality. It's true. Now it has been more difficult because it has been integrated with technological companies. Because now we cannot talk about media without talking about technology, and eventually we cannot not talk about artificial intelligence, which is creating that type of polarization. But since we are at school now, and since we have educators here, and since we have some students around, I believe, and since we have some decision makers in the room, and looking at India, and I'm always fascinated by India, by the development it has reached in the few decades, if I may say. And now India is actually leading the world in technology. So I take this opportunity, and instead of saying what I know or whatever, I would really take this opportunity for a call to action. For a call to action for technological companies in India to really, and of course under the partnership of CMS, who is really working towards interfaith dialogue, to bring in more effort from technological companies and work on fighting and reclaiming the scene on social media. Meaning that we need the effort of these technological people to come up with solutions, and solutions are there. The concepts are there. They just need to be implemented. They just need to be funded, and sometimes they just need also attention of the media for people to bring and create a critical mass. We've been working on projects to reclaim the scene of social media and the public dialogue for years. But still now, it has been very difficult without the input of technological companies. And we've seen that Meta, other companies, for example, they have been trying to take part, but they're always pushing towards making profit. So this is where I move on to parliamentary members, or people who really take decisions in legislation, which is a different topic that I would like to touch upon very quickly. Some countries, they are banning some social media platforms. For example, in India, TikTok is banned. In Saudi Arabia, in Jordan, in other countries, WhatsApp call is banned. And we all know the reasons behind it. It's because of monitoring data and monitoring information on these platforms. We're not talking about politics here, but we're talking about shifting the public dialogue, and we cannot start by banning platforms. We can start by correcting the policies of these platforms, because these platforms have become much and much more powerful than countries. Look at Twitter. Twitter years ago, it banned the President of the United States from tweeting on Twitter. So who is stronger now?
Yeah.
So the media has become a powerful tool, and we are the owners of media. We create, we can shift the algorithms, but we cannot do it by ourselves. So I take this opportunity just to shout out this call to action and to see how we can correct this current situation in the media scene. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Princess. Yeah, I do remember about TikTok, about the Pokemon and then PUBG and also the Blue Whale, and how, young people, some of them were pushed even to coming